Develop.
We researched into the About Time trailer, which had a lot of stereotypical romance scenes, which are generally two shots of the couple. We felt like we should do this in our trailer too, as you can see in the following clips.
Very careful when you use it. The butterfly. Comes a time.
We took from Bridget Jones's Diary the stereotypical cliche inclusion of a diary prop. This prompts a sense of intimacy and insight within the audience, and we chose to develop this by using this in a different aspect.
And start a diary. Resolution number
assignment is to write an essay about an element of the Second World War. Hand in on the first day back.
The Benjamin Button trailer gave us an example for the emphasis on action matches, such as the voice merging or even the slow transition, which signifies the change in time periods, as you can see now.
My name is Benjamin.
Benjamin Button. And I was born under unusual circumstances. The First World War had ended.
Oh god, who do I choose?
Challenge.
I will tell you God's truth. God's truth about myself. I am the son of some very wealthy people. Sadly, they're all dead now. I lived in all the capitals of Europe, collecting jewels, hunting big game, painting a little. Then came the war.
We took influence from The Great Gatsby by mixing old and new sounds to create our own version of Vera Lynn's We'll Meet Again. Also, like in The Great Gatsby, the sound also plays throughout our whole trailer, as we are about to see now.
I saw John the other day. Can we not talk about him? Just give him a chance, you know. Never give anyone a chance. So how's the war? What's up? It's just John and Walt. Don't start with this again. Me and John are going fine. Walter's too risky. But I'm with you.
The Longest Ride trailer is a trailer which we found towards the end of our whole ancillary task progress. It related to our trailers the most because the narrative was very similar. However, theirs is American based and ours is of course British. Also within theirs, both worlds meet, as for in ours it's only through a diary.
I wish I could tell you it'll all be happily ever after. Not everybody gets that.
Hand in on the first day back.
I saw John the other day. Can we not talk about him? Just give him a chance, you know. Never give anyone a chance.
For our magazine. Use. The masthead was to make my magazine stand out. I used a bold white font because this was a continuous convention that was used in countless film magazines. I also felt with the dark colours it helped in the layout because my magazine was a difficult one for colour scheme and the use of colours, since Jake the model was already wearing dark colours from his uniform anyway. The photograph, I tried going with a similar one as the Robert Downey Jr. Total Film magazine. As you can see, they used a lot of blue and mine is more green based. As you can see from the background here. But a key aspect of mine would be the typical codes and conventions of the magazine. I felt like this made my magazine seem familiar, with the dates being in the same position. with the quotes and cover lines being to a similar font, yet quirky and different at the same time. I tried sticking to the Total Film magazine as a reference strongly, but I was still trying to make my magazine seem slightly different and its own unique way. The model's pose was, as I said previously, inspired by the Total Film magazine. I felt by Jake being the soldier within the trailer, it was important to represent that aspect of uniformity.
Use. Here you can see the Hollywood Reporter. This is a magazine that's sold in the United States. It was the main source of influence for my own magazine. I followed the masthead of the Hollywood Reporter and tried to recreate a similar aesthetic on my own magazine by using my own masthead title, The Cinematic Journal. The layout, I wanted it to be simplistic and open, simply to let the photograph have centre stage and to shine through rather than the text. The photograph I want to take in black and white, as seen here with Angelina Jolie on the front cover of the Hollywood Reporter. I took a picture of my model and edited the black and white image in Photoshop. I also used a gradient tool on Photoshop to recreate the Hollywood Reporter's background, quite similar with the black and white. I conformed to various different codes and conventions of a typical magazine, i.e. the date, as seen here on the Entertainment magazine and here on my own. Quotes / cover lines, here seen on the Entertainment again and here on my own, and also cover photo. Of course, the cover photo of my own is the main emphasis and focal point. The model's pose was influenced by Vogue magazine in order to attract a female audience.
Develop. When developing my magazine, I wanted to use similar aspects within the background with the clouds effect, which was current in my film poster and obviously related to the British weather from the trailer. This was a new idea since on the Total Film magazine, the background was frosty and themed like ice. The cover image and the main shot type was a mid-long shot, which I wanted to use within my poster, within my magazine as well. I felt this was strong and it influenced the colour scheme greatly since Jake was wearing a dark army green coloured uniform. So I had to work my colour scheme around this aspect, such as the coat that Robert Downey Jr. is wearing. Also, quotes played an important role within the main tagline since it represented an insight on what the magazine's article would be about.
Develop. The cover / image stance is something that I took from the Hollywood Reporter and developed. Angelina Jolie had her hand on her face and my model posed with her hand on her shoulder. The layout, I wanted the text to the centre rather than the side, and the colour scheme, rather than just sticking to one colour, I went for a 3-colour rule, and the quote, I just made the quotation marks quite larger and emphasised.
Challenges faced when creating my magazine was the main tagline. This was because I switched around the fonts, making it more suitable for my magazine, and therefore it would seem that I didn't reference the Total Film magazine as much. However, I felt that I reworded the word exclusive and just switched it up a bit. The font for the cover lines were tricky to download since they were different and alternate to each other, but I think they worked out in the end, and it just worked well in general for the magazine. The price of the magazine was easily placed within the barcode. This was different to the Total Film magazine.
Challenge. I used a mixture of both thinner and more bold fonts for my quote and cover lines. I just felt like this brought a sense of interest to the cover. And the price, I placed that within the barcode so it was easy to find. I also felt like this made the layout simpler and cleaner. I also flipped the barcode in order to create a flow within the layout.